I was involved with a car accident last Sunday. First and foremost, what a gracious God that we are able to have and to be able to serve. I thank Him for His provision, but I also thank Him for His overwhelming comfort. This week, I have just been in sheer gratitude of His mercy and His care, and all the blessings that He continues to pour into my own life. Even when life hits me through a blind side, what a great God that we have. Secondly, I want to thank each one of you for your thoughts, through your prayers, through your text messages, and through your calls. I can't express enough of my gratitude for the love and care that you have all poured out into me. But also, I want to thank you all for your faith and your diligence in keeping obedience to God. You just showing up today shows a little bit about your commitment and the value that you have for your faith and God. But little does anyone know that my life got hit 3 different ways last week. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. On Saturday, I got hit mentally. Our church hosted the spiritual revival workshop here this past Saturday. Members from across our district and churches from around our campus had come and gathered together for the spiritual revival that was placed in the fireside room. This was a wonderful time for our faithful members to be able to show off the beauty of our church campus, but also to show a little bit and share a little bit about our hospitality. Unfortunately, a leakage problem tried to steal the spotlight. As you notice, there were cones that had covered a hole from an underground pipeline that had busted. Some people did not see this as a problem, but as a pastor, my attention was solely focused on this hole of a situation that was going to put into our own budget. Mentally, I was disturbed because we are having other physical needs that are needing our attention. So physically, my own attention was on this hole. However, getting hit with this hole on Saturday reminded me that my faith needed to be deeper than this hole. On Sunday, I got hit physically. I don't often eat sweets, but when I eat sweets, I think of the kids of the church. When I get a candy, they get a candy. If I get Girl Scout cookies, they get Girl Scout cookies. So I drove down Woodrow Boulevard to meet the Girl Scout cookie sellers outside of Ralph's. As I drove down the intersection of Woodrow, another driver ran the red light down Temple City Boulevard and hit me pretty hard. I got hit with what's known as a double whammy. So he hit me on the front side of the passenger side, and then my car made a 90-degree while I also got hit by the light post that was over. Meaning, a double whammy, getting hit twice. So it was only through God's grace that I came out of this accident with a bruised body and a broken, clean driving record. 6 years, I didn't get no accident, no tickets, or nothing. And just like that, it's gone. Physically, my body was sore in places that I never imagined could be hurt. This incident happened on Sunday, but I was reminded that my faith needed to hit harder than the car and the light post. On Monday, I got hit emotionally. Just when I thought things could not get any worse, a thief came overnight and cleared out my car. As I woke up on Monday to check how my baby was doing, someone had gone through and taken everything from inside. From the paperwork to the fast track monitor, receipts stored in the middle, to my favorite gospel CD. Emotionally, I was stunned because it seemed I wasn't catching a break in life. Hit after hit. I didn't want to wake up the next day and fear what was I going to get hit with next. So this happened on Monday, but I was reminded that my faith needed to cry louder than my pain and my struggles. These are 3 different ways in which my life alone was hit last week. But like many of us gathered here today, we all have received a recently hit that made us hit blindsided from. Whether it was a hit financially, a hit emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, or even medically, many of us have gotten hit recently with a struggle. As we continue through the season of Lent, may I remind you a little thing about our God. James 1:13 says that no one who is tempted should say, I am being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted, nor he himself tempts anyone. The hits that happens in our life are results of the enemy that is continuously trying to break you and break your faith. Over and over are we placed in situations where the devil is continuously trying to break your identity and shatter your faith relationship with God. You see, it's easier for someone to lose hope, to blame others, and to blame God when things are going hard in their life. You see, it's harder to have faith and to have hope when you are being hit with the unexpected and the uncomfortable. Our scripture today comes from a community who got hit with a situation. Just like many of us, the Israelites are placed in situations where they feel most vulnerable. Due to the situation of having no water, they become so overwhelmed with their emotions that their perspective of the situation has shaped the way they respond. Brothers and sisters, just like the Israelites from our scripture today, many times life can be very overwhelming. When we deal with the unknown, these challenges strike your thoughts, your emotions, your faith, and your relationship with God. Just look at the way people are reacting about those who are needing water and toiletries and all the other medical issues around today. How we see our situation determines how we respond. Today, with everything that is happening in our world today and even in our country, don't be foolish. Whatever situation you are dealing with or fighting against, may you remind yourself, don't be foolish. So please, turn to your brother and sisters to the side of you and tell them, don't be foolish.
Don't be foolish.
Let us go to God in prayer. Father God, as we come together as brothers and sisters, may we be reminded that first and foremost we come as children of you, O God. May the voices of our hearts be settled upon you. May our meditation be focused on you, O God. That at this time, may you speak to us and may you commune with us. This is our prayer that we lift before you. Amen. This is one of the many stories in which the Israelites are up to some type of foolishness. The Israelites weren't just known for their faithfulness, but they were also known of this cycle of being foolish. From disobeying God and Moses to complaining. Then they went through a season of having faith, and then disobeying God again, and then complaining again. Throughout the relationship between Moses and the Israelites, they have been complaining over and over and testing God about what will happen next. In chapter 4, they are complaining to Moses, why did you bring us out of slavery? In Egypt, they would have rather been there instead. At their first pit stop in the desert, they complained that the water was too salty or it was too bitter. In chapter 16, we see that they complained about not having enough food and that in Egypt they found more that would satisfy their hunger. You see, but over and over, God showed up again. Yahweh responded by giving them what they were needing. God brought them comfort, safety, food, water, and shelter. Yet this community always found something else to complain about. The Israelites never seemed to learn to trust wholeheartedly in God and trust that God will provide for their needs as He continued to show up in their life. They never seemed to trust God, and since the situation in life became too big and too overwhelming for them, when times were tough, they were in places where they placed their expectations in different situations that hit them from the blind side. The community showed their true selves when they became vulnerable. Often when people are vulnerable at the low points in life, we tend to do things foolishly. A foolish move is to blame others. The Israelites have been journeying the stages. Think of stages as pit stops. These pit stops allow the opportunity for the Israelites to commune together, to rest, to gather, and to tend to the people and the livestock they were bringing. But as they entered to the pit stop at Rephidim in our passage today, they faced a situation of having no water. So they began to panic, just like many of us today. Think about the chaos that was happening everywhere as people were struggling to find water. Out of fear, doubt, and frustration, they began to place themselves before others. Rather than going to God in prayer, rather than making a plan of how to wait a little longer, they pointed the finger at Moses and started to quarrel with him. Quarrel, by definition, means that it is getting into a heated argument of disagreement between two people who are often on good terms. The Israelites were quick to complain and argue against Moses because they were hit with an unexpected situation. Doesn't this water situation sound like our situation today? Many communities around California or around the world are scavenging for water bottles, toilet paper, food, and other necessities. I stopped by 6 stores yesterday, and over the span of 2 hours, I could not find any water, but a lot of cleared shelves. But what was interesting was not that the water stocks were out or the food was out, but it was interesting how I got to see how the individuals go to the extreme of getting into arguments over food and water. It's very interesting how foolish some people would respond when they were fighting and arguing with each other on who got the water first. It is easy for us to blame someone else rather than to reflect on our own selves. The foolish move is, in what the Israelites did in our passage, is that rather than reflecting back on their own life, they decided to put the blame on Moses. Rather than going to God in prayer, they went and blamed Moses. When they were thirsty, they forgot that God had saved them again and again. Since their situation made them uncomfortable, the instant gratification for them, it took them better for them to blame others than to blame themselves. Just like us, we forget God's past providence because we are in our current situation blocks our vision from God. Foolishness is putting yourself before others and finding someone else to take the blame. Making foolish decisions from your situations. In verse 4, we see that the Israelites were so upset with Moses that he actually feared for his life. He prayed to the Lord for guidance and courage, but also safety. Because it was from this situation where the Israelites looked to Moses trying to stone him. You see, when they were dealing with situations that were unexpected, they went to make irrational decisions based off of their perspective. Getting hit with an unexpected situation makes us vulnerable to make foolish decisions. Our thoughts are scattered. Our emotions are fragile. Our faith practice is being tested. When we are angry, we are quick to respond with something that we will later regret. When we are facing problems after problems, we are tempted to do the exact opposite of what would Jesus do. When we become so overwhelmed by the pressure of fear, guilt, depression, we do something foolish beside trusting in God. The situation of the Israelites made them act irrational and extreme. Rather than having a conversation with Moses, they wanted to stone him because of how he was treating them now. Brothers and sisters, the reality is often we are placed in situations that will challenge our emotions and our reactions. As Moses routinely goes to God when he is faced with a crisis, he goes to God hoping to find relief. A foolish reaction for us is not to trust in God, and not to go to God when we are facing our battles that we have every day. The foolish move would be not to trust in God. Our God promised that He will never leave you nor forsake you. In any situations that you find yourself in, may you find the comfort of God going with you through faith and through prayer. Even after Moses' life was threatened, Moses did not make the foolish move of searching other outlets for answers. Even he did not go ditching the people because he was afraid that they were going to stone him. He knew that God would provide himself again and show for his care and safety. Sometimes the unfoolish thing to do is to let God handle it. God showed up and provided for the Israelites over and over. And so did He again do it today. God showed up and provided for the Israelites giving Moses safety, but also guidance on what to do next. In verse 6, we see that the Lord showed up standing over the rock, that Moses was to strike this rock for water. It was through this rock where God stood and made the promise to give the people what they needed. Out of Egypt, out of the wilderness, God continued to make life flow from certain and unexpected resources. But it would require a certain faith from you. The unfoolish thing would be to place all your faith in God, who seems not to do the things out of typical ways, but in ways over and over again will He show up in your life. God brings water, and with it, life. Don't be foolish. As we continue to celebrate Women's History Month, I would love to quote one of my favorite musicians, Shania Twain. If there's anyone who listens to country songs, Shania Twain, that is my woman growing up. No, I didn't feel like a woman, but she taught me the empowerment of women. One of her songs that she sings is a song called "Don't Be Stupid." Initially, I wanted my sermon to be called "Don't Be Stupid," but my mother yelled at me on saying so. I had to switch it from stupid to foolish. But in one of her songs that she gives me some aspirations from, it is from this song. Because whenever you are facing an unexpected situation in life, often we do foolish things. But remember these words from her songs, for comfort and assurance that she brings. Remember the words that God has spoken to us, bringing us life, health, comfort. Remember God when you are dealing with discomfort, insecurities, fear, and hopelessness. She says, don't freak out, relax. Don't be stupid. You know I love you. Don't be ridiculous. You know I need you. Don't be absurd. You know I want you. God will show up in your life over and over again. Don't be foolish in all of it.